The Newsround on Off the Ball.
With Gillette Labs. Get the ultimate shave or your money back. Neon Night Edition available now.
This is News Talk.
Welcome along. So it's been a very lively start to the World Snooker Championships in Sheffield. We have a good old-fashioned beef involving Ronnie O'Sullivan. We have the backdrop of a match-fixing investigation underway and a Stop Oil protester throwing orange powder everywhere. Just some of the topics to discuss with the BBC's Shabnam Jonas Jewel at 7:30. A slight tangent. We'll tackle your emails with our usual panache, flair and intelligence, i.e. not much of the above between 8 and 9. Plus is the Champions League season evening indeed. Fresh from Todd Bowley telling them they're an embarrassment. Chelsea take on Real Madrid at Stamford Bridge. 2-0 down on aggregate. Dan McDonald along for the football show. 53106 the text number. We're at Off the Ball on Twitter. Michael McCarthy here in the studio. Hello to you.
How are you, Joe?
And Richie McCormack there as well. Hello, Richie. Ooh, we go again. Hello, Richie.
He's talking to us, but sure, we can't hear him.
Someone's muted somewhere.
Here we go. Hello.
Did you have yourself muted in 2023?
Apparently so, yeah. I think it was still possible.
For God's sake.
I was trying to make head nor tail of the Chelsea starting 11.
So was I.
Forgive me on that front. It's like, without wanting to spoil anything, I love the way every Chelsea starting 11 throws up a player that you haven't thought about, and possibly the Chelsea management haven't thought about in about 2 to 3 months. Step forward, Trevoh Chalobah tonight for a place in the starting 11.
I was wondering when he was going to make his presence felt.
Reappearance.
Todd Bowley, of course, fresh from addressing the Chelsea team and telling them they were having an embarrassing season. Why aren't you performing in accordance with your transfer fees? One of his key messages. Maybe because you overpaid for us as well as this club, was the response. Not said out loud.
Yeah.
The picture of the Brighton fans shouting down at Bowley and him responding to them was telling as well. He's just so naive at every turn. Don't engage. You just can't win that moment.
Yeah, naivety actually is the perfect word for basically his entire tenure so far.
Yeah,
it does sum it all up, really, doesn't it?
He is currently at the Michelin star Italian, the River Cafe on the Thames, entertaining the Real Madrid delegation. You'll remember this time last week in Madrid when he left the cafe on the receiving end of the Real Madrid welcome. He was asked how would Chelsea do against Madrid at the Bernabeu that evening, and he confidently predicted a 3-0 win for Chelsea, which went viral, not least when they lost 2-0. So who knows what he'll say when he leaves the River Cafe on the Thames.
The Thames? I've never heard anybody call it the Thames before.
I was going to say.
What
it's the Thames.
The Thames.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's quite a famous
Thames,
river.
Thailand, that kind of thing.
I've just never ever heard anybody say Thames before. Yeah,
that's interesting.
Now maybe you're right. And
no, I dare say I'm not. Can I talk to you about the snooker for a second?
You can always talk to me about snooker,
We
Joe.
got a good old fashioned beef. So last night the Just Stop Oil crowd threw their orange powder everywhere. I hadn't realised that there was a second effort to hold play on the other table stopped by the referee.
Yeah, she was to be fair, the woman is, without wanting to cast aspersions about ages, she was 22 years the senior of the gentleman who climbed aboard the table, and judging by the wide shot where the two protesters could be seen entering the floor, she was a lot slower in trying to hop up on the table than the gentleman. So yeah, there was an effort made to stop her, which was successful.
May not have been able to climb aboard the table. Might have just thrown the powder on.
It's higher than you think, like when you try and cock your leg up there, you know.
Amazing photo, by the way. I mean, the orange powder in the air, and he's standing there. He's on his knees.
The reaction to it,
vivid.
it's like that scene from Platoon. The reaction to it has been hilarious. I don't know if you saw the response when they finally returned after an hour and a bit last night to the floor. Like, Mark Allen and Zheng Yifan, who did return, Robert Milkins and Joe Perry didn't. They were greeted like they were first responders on ground zero in 9/11. Mm-hmm. Like, there was a rousing standing ovation for a couple of minutes, and the commentator saying, "We will not stop for anybody." Like, it was like they'd just been at war. It was, and then the stuff today with like Barry Hearn saying that there should be like really strong punishments for people who do things like that. Like, they're absolutely giving these people exactly what they want, and it's only served for people who weren't aware that the World Snooker Championship was on to realise that the World Snooker Championship is on, and everybody's now invested.
Yeah, good to happen at this time of the tournament as well. Did you see the clean-up? So now I might not be 100% right in this, but from what I saw, the pictures I saw was one man, the referee, wearing a mask and gloves, like a COVID style mask, and a Hoover.
Yeah.
And just like that, there you go. No military style operation here. It's just the referee's responsible for his own table. There's something something sort of romantic about that, isn't it? They don't have
other guy.
This is my patch.
The other guy doing the hoovering action near the edge of the table was actually the commentator Rob Walker, who you'll know from the post-match interviews and stuff like that. So he was the one who came out with the line, "We will not stop for anybody," afterwards as well. So he's properly on the front line.
Look, these people only want to stop climate change. In fairness, they're not.
They don't want to stop snooker.
Evil. Although just stop oil, I thought this was just a general stop oil now everywhere. It's going to be hard to do overnight, but they're more specific. They want to stop 100 licenses which are about to be given in the UK for oil exploration and gas projects as well in 2025. So they're very much about just this one point. It's not just a climate crisis. They were also the crowd. He's the guy. They were also the crowd who threw soup at the Van Gogh. Are you going Van Gogh or Van Gogh? I'm saying that wrong.
I've always been a Van Gogh man, but I don't know. I think it is Van Gogh. But
are you Pulisic or Pulisic? Let's get them all out here.
It's Van Gogh, apparently.
Well, I mean, I didn't want to say
Louis Van Gogh.
National Gallery. They did the Van Gogh. They blocked the M25. They tied themselves to goalposts, and now they've hit the snooker circuit as well.
I was delighted I got Van Gogh on the show last night at the top of my head when you broke this news live on air, because I went out thinking, I'm after getting that wrong, it was definitely a Picasso. So that's now that you've just confirmed it again 24 hours later, I'm delighted with myself.
Yeah, condemnation all around. My favourite bit of condemnation over the last couple of days of protests still remains AP McCoy saying they're just attention seekers. Well, you're probably right there. Anyway, sorry, this is too much of a detour. We have, in amidst the Just Stop Oil protest, and we will talk about that as well at 7:30, but one of the great beefs of our time is emerging between Ronnie OSullivan and Hussein Vafai, who is 28 years of age. He's the number 23 in the world. The genesis of this beef is last year in Germany when, I don't know if this is true or not, but Vafai reckons that OSullivan was disrespectful. Vafai won their match in Germany, and he thinks that, OSullivan, in that not unfamiliar, disinterested way, was just knocking balls around and just couldn't care less about this match. And it was, his one-time hero, no longer his hero, disrespecting him. And so they are now due to play each other in round 2 on Friday, best of 25 frames, 2:00 start. And here is Hussein Vafai. He was asked about the impending match against his one-time hero, Ronnie OSullivan.
I think Ronnie OSullivan is such a legend. He's such a good player when he's on the table. And I think he's such a nice person when he's sleeping, Just he's just such a nice person when he's asleep. So yeah, it's such a... you know all what I mean. So, yeah, it's got to be a great match for the people. I think every sport needs to have some people like us and show something at least,
So you're looking forward to the match?
Yeah, of course. I'm looking for him, just playing. And I said that before. I don't have anything to lose. If he come up and beat me, for example, 13-0 or something like that, it's the start of my career, so I don't have anything to lose. At least I don't fear of him, so...
Very good.
Well, we don't know how much practice Ronnie's doing at the moment because he wasn't very well. He said he was going to go and sit on his sofa and get better.
Yeah, he find the excuse for himself, you know what I mean? He's always been like that 30 years. I'm doing that, all right, mate, all right.
Oh, wowzers, this is going to be tasty come Friday. I can't wait.
I mean...
Yeah.
Be careful what you're asking for here, buddy, because Ronnie OSullivan's response was, he better not rattle my cage. I love it when they do that. It turns me on. I get off on it.
Yeah.
Quote.
You almost want them disinterested, don't you?
You don't want him cage rattled, turned on and itching for this match on Friday. Will there be a handshake? I'll be tuning in at 5 to 2 to check.
Yeah, well, I suppose this is all part of Snooker's master plan. Is hire the guys to come and wreck the tape. Sorry, I mean, get a beef going. Suddenly, we're talking about Snooker the first week of the World Championship.
This is Ronnie's 31st World Championship.
It's amazing. I was just saying,
he's just broken Steve Davis's record of 30. So here he is at 47, trying to break Hendry's record of 8 world titles, playing in his 31st.
And it's the class of '92 with Mark Williams and John Higgins, and three of them, three of those guys were three of the four semi-finalists in last year's World Championship.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if Higgins and Williams have the unbroken record. Obviously they don't if OSullivan is breaking a record here, but like, it is amazing the longevity of these guys, even in a sport that doesn't require too much physical exertion.
I know. If you want parallels to the upstart, putting it up to the season champion, let's go back to 2002 when a much younger Ronnie OSullivan said of his match semi-final against Stephen Hendry, I'm going to send him home to his sad little life back in Scotland. I'm going to give him a good old dusting.
That was pretty much the end of Stephen Hendry, wasn't it?
Jeez, that's good stuff.
More or less, yeah.
Yeah, like that was, he fell off a cliff after that.
Yeah. Let's get into the news round. Lads, that was the most exciting thing to happen at the Crucible in years, says Mick in Cork.
That's harsh.
Anonymous says, I know everyone loves Ronnie, but his behaviour is pathetic. Just constantly trying to be too cool for school. No class. That is a viewpoint out there for sure.
When you say he's like 31 championships there in Sheffield, it's mad to think how many he would have won if he was arsed for half of his career.
Yeah.
Which clearly, like, there's been issues, but the majority of the time it's been self-motivation. And if that's not there, then he just doesn't perform. If it had been there for the duration of his career, I'd imagine his career would be over far sooner than it has been. And secondly, I'd say he'd probably have a dozen world championships to his name, if not more now, because he's streets ahead of literally, I think, anybody that's ever played the game.
It's what makes him who he is, though, isn't it? What makes him exciting. So, like, he might be disrespectful and he might be, like, you know, whatever that commenter said. But at the same time, like, I don't think we'd be as interested in Ronnie OSullivan if he didn't have that to him. He's an interesting human being as well as a snooker player.
Mike, in reference to last night, I would be grateful if you would explain the Julius Caesar reference, Joe. I know, I meant Pontius Pilate. I know. I'm sure Julius Caesar washed his hands on occasion, but it wasn't his defining calling card.
You don't hear as much about Pontius Pilate anymore, do you?
You don't, no.
Not after Easter's over, anyway.
You don't. So, Newsround is brought to you with Gillette Labs. Get the
good
ultimate
name for a horse race, actually.
In the middle of a read
Sorry.
You're the producer of the show. Do you want to do the Gillette read?
Sorry, who's the Newsround in association?
Bloody hell, I'm trying to think of our friends Gillette here. Gillette Labs at that.
Gillette Labs, Joe.
Get the ultimate shave or your money back. Neon Night Edition available now. So, Newsround, you're starting with Chelsea this evening. Rich, that 2-0 deficit is front and centre at Stamford Bridge.
Yeah, they're firm underdogs ahead of tonight's meeting with Real Madrid. And Chelsea make 4 changes from last week's team that played at the Bernabeu. Running it through that team, it is Kepa Arrizabalaga in goal. Trevoh Chalobah, Thiago Silva and Wesley Fofana are their back 3. Manning the wings, Reece James and Mark Cucurella. There's a midfield trio of N'Golo Kante, Enzo Fernandez and Mateo Kovacic. And then Conor Gallagher is in support of Kai Havertz up front. Madrid unchanged. Thibaut Courtois starts in goal. You can set your watch by them. Dani Carvajal, Eder Militao, David Alaba and Eduardo Camavinga are their back 4. In midfield then, Luka Modric, Toni Kroos and Federico Valverde. Rodrigo and Vinicius Jr. flank Karim Benzema. Perhaps game of the night tonight, though, even is probably going to be at the Estadio Diego Armando Maradona, where Napoli are hoping to reach the Champions League semi-finals for the first time ever tonight. They must overturn a 1-0 first leg deficit at home to AC Milan. Both of tonight's games kick off at 8.
Now, Rich, I think everybody stopped in their tracks when news came through of Craig Breen's passing. Funeral today.
Yeah, thousands attended the funeral of Craig Breen, who was laid to rest today in his home, Ferrybank in Waterford. The 33-year-old died in a crash in a pre-test event ahead of the Croatia rally last week. Breen's sister Kelly spoke at his funeral service today.
Words about my little brother, the guy behind the helmet. Craig made it slightly easier for me though, because along with his huge achievements in life, he left behind a truckload of fond memories and hilarious stories. Those who know Craig affectionately tell stories about him having a happy knack of just arriving at their door, having sent a very last minute, "I'll be with you in 10" text. And when you were lucky enough to catch him, you were usually given a night of laughs, mockery and slagging over copious cups of tea. But he was a rogue for also leaving a little job after him for you. And this one is by far the hardest job he's left for all of us.
Yeah, desperately sad. Rich, the snooker continues this evening?
Yeah, Robert Milkins and Joe Perry have resumed their first round match at the World Snooker Championship, still playing the first frame there. South Yorkshire police arrested a 30-year-old man and a 52-year-old woman on charges of criminal damage after last night's interruption at the Crucible. The former managed to climb the table, dispersing that orange powder, while the woman was prevented from doing so on the table hosting Mark Allen and Zheng Yifan. That match resumed after an hour, with Allen winning 10-5 to set up a second round meeting with Stuart Bingham. Elsewhere today, Anthony McGill came from 2-0 down to end the afternoon session with a 6-3 lead over 2019 winner Judd Trump. John Higgins completed a 10-2 win over David Grace, and he'll play the winner of tonight's meeting of Gary Wilson and Elliot Slessor. Wilson took a 7-2 lead into this evening's session. Slessor fighting back though in that 10th frame. Jack Lazowski will return in the morning with a 6-3 lead over Nopon Senkem.
Steve Davis will always be the greatest, says Texter. Who's the best snooker pundit?
Best snooker pundit?
Who's the Ruby Walsh breaking down the intricacies in a way that nobody's ever seen before? Or is anyone doing that?
I don't know, actually. I don't know if it's moved on quite a lot. Like, I mean, they've had their crew for a while now. They have. But they're brilliant. Like, I would take John Virgo commentating on a snooker match over basically anyone in any sport. No?
Yeah, I know, yeah.
He didn't do the year they had COVID because he was, I don't know if it was immunocompromised. He was definitely, he's living outside the UK as well, and it missed him so badly.
Is he not retired now, no?
No, he's still going.
He's still going?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they have a great crew.
Henry's there. Alan McManus does bits and pieces as well. He's really good. Ken, of course, yeah.
I suppose if none of the top players are retiring,
John
if the
Paris.
class of 92 are still playing, then
yeah, they've got no one new to
the last
come
from
in.
the 80s still have to keep doing it.
Well, that's it. Those boys try to qualify as well. Steve Davis is actually very good, I think, as a pundit. He actually is. I find him both insightful and interesting, Joe, which you wouldn't have thought as a player when he was known as the Nugget.
Mm-hmm.
And a musician too.
David in Kent has reached out on Twitter. Did Mick once mention, was it Pontius Pilate or Julius Caesar when he mentioned it being a good name for a horse?
Once, like 10 seconds ago. Pontius Pilate. I thought it sounds like a pretty good name for a horse.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. Just sounds like it. It sounds
Coming
like
down the final straight. Pontius Pilate is condemned the field to defeat.
There you go.
I don't know if I'm sorry if I said anything that offends anybody.
No, you didn't. You didn't. I think he wasn't sure if you had said it was Julius Caesar or Pontius Pilate that was a better.
I don't think Julius Caesar is a great name for a horse.
Can we just isolate that clip? It'll come in handy some stage down the line. So, Richie, cricket then.
Yeah, Ireland were the victims of Sri Lanka's biggest ever test victory today, chasing a Sri Lankan first innings target of, or total even, of 591. Ireland were bowled out for just 143 this morning in Gal. Forced to follow on, Ireland's second innings added just 168 runs to their total, handing Sri Lanka a victory by an innings and 280 runs. It was just Ireland's fifth ever international test, with a sixth getting underway against the same opposition on Monday. And Ireland captain Andy Balbirnie admits that they're still finding their feet in the longer form of the game.
Our focus is white ball cricket. Our home domestic structure is based around white ball cricket, so that's where a lot of our players have learnt their craft, learnt their skill. It's not like other nations where they're brought up in first class cricket and that's where they learn their skill. So we've got to find, in my opinion, I think we've probably got to find a way to harness our skills that we've learned playing 50 over cricket and bring them onto the test arena. I don't know what that looks like. We don't have a number of test matches where we can plan out a structure and a first-class structure where we can plan out, how players get innings and players get big knocks. So we're going to have to do it differently to other test nations, and it's going to be difficult, and we're going to have test matches like this, but as long as guys are going out and playing a certain way, and we're not putting expectations on players, we just want them to express themselves and enjoy this challenge, because it is tough and it's only going to get tougher.
That's really honest stuff, I think, from Balbirnie, and it's really good to hear. But this always was the concern in some ways about Ireland, achieving test status. Was there was a status in that and like a recognition, but it also comes with having to play these games. And it was all great when they bowled out England in an hour in Lords, in the first test match. But this is the reality of it now. At this level, in this form of the game, in Sri Lanka, it's like next to impossible for the type of cricket Ireland play, and it is interesting. Like it's going to be such a long-term thing to try and evolve at this type of the game. So it's funny, becoming a Test nation is becoming like a full member. It's becoming, not on the outside anymore.
The establishment.
But it also means you have to play Test cricket, which, as Bob Burney's mentioning there, Ireland don't play, and we don't play 4-day cricket as it would be at first class level, 5-day cricket obviously at Test level. We play 1-day white ball cricket, so it's such an ask, and I don't think people realise that it's such an ask for these players to go and play Sri Lanka in a 5-day Test match.
They have to go about their business in a very different way, less aggressive.
It's a completely different sport.
Or is it just that you can get away? I want to say this respectfully, but a skill deficit can be camouflaged if it's a sprint finish in an hour, whereas over 4 or 5 days, akin to a golf tournament, you might lead on day one, but come Sunday you'll be exposed.
Yeah, it is. It's. I think that's a little bit harsh, but you're on the right track. Like it is more that it's just a different form of the game. There is the restrictions that are there. Like they're not like. Sri Lanka aren't interested in protecting runs here. They're interested in getting wickets. It's a completely different focus on what you have to do, and it's also like, you are just the spell. Like, one bowler is only allowed 10 overs in a 50-over game. He could come at you all day long in a Test game. He could be like just like this. Your guy could just have to face whoever the ace is or the spinner or whatever it might be, and there's just no getting away from them. So there is a lot of that. There's fielding restrictions that don't apply, all of these things, like it is just a different form of the game entirely, but it is the hardest form of the game by far as well.
When he's back, let's chat to Andrew Balburney, invite him to the studio.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Someone asked, any chance of Tangent tonight? There is an excellent chance of Tangent tonight at 8 o'clock. First email is about Arthur O'D. He hasn't seen it yet.
The look.
Eyes suddenly darted up. Snooker's commentary is unrivaled, though I always feel bad for Virgo. He is one of the only ones there with no world title, says Sam McCormack. Is that right?
Yeah. Nowhere close, I would say, but
he did work alongside Jim Davidson on Big Break, so we'll always have that.
Yeah. So he just wasn't as good as the rest of the stable there,
he was
or a
good.
bit unlucky.
He was good.
Jimmy White wouldn't, of course.
I don't think he's on though. Not on BBC anyway.
He's on Eurosport.
Yeah. But he did lose like 7 world finals.
How do you lose 7?
Oh, it's insane.
Well, when you have the intake of Jimmy White, it's probably understandable.
Sue,
like 16-12 up in one of them and lost to 18-16 or 18-17. Yeah, like it was there. He had it. It was the ultimate choke job. If you take choke jobs in sport that you can't argue with, like losing something like 7 out of the last 8 frames of a tournament, having dominated.
RG Snyman, Rich?
Yeah, he's going to miss Munster's next and indeed final game in the URC, the regular season URC against the South Sea Sharks. He's following the return to play protocols. Munster's front row could be boosted for that game by the returns of Diarmuid Barron and Dave Kilcoyne. They need a win, of course, to secure Champions Cup football for next season. Meanwhile, Munster today confirmed the signing of former Connacht centre Sean O'Brien on a 2-year deal from Exeter Chiefs. O'Brien joined Exeter 2 years ago and started in their Heineken Champions Cup last 16 win over the DHL Stormers there a week or two ago. He's blamed lack of game time at Sandy Park for his decision to move on. Craig Gilroy, meanwhile, has confirmed he's leaving Ulster at the end of this season. The wingers made over 200 appearances for the province in a 13-year career. Gilroy says he's moving abroad to experience another club and culture.
GA News?
Yeah, the GPA's Maria Kinsella says female players should not have to wait until full integration with the GAA to get the playing environment they deserve. The Players Association has called for the introduction of an official squad charter which covers the GAA, LGFA and Camogie Association for next season. The GPA has led the way in integration between the male and female Gaelic Games associations.
And we should mention there is GAA this evening.
Yeah, semi-finals night in the Airgrid Leinster Under-20 Football Championship. They are into the second half at Pork Talton in Navan, where Dublin lead Meath by 10 points to 8. Defending champions Kildare, Joe, they play Laois in Portlaoise, and that one throws in 4 minutes' time.
16 matches on in the championship this weekend.
Is it 16?
Or, sorry, 15.
Maybe 15, yeah. 15. I'm not sure, but like...
You told me 16 and then I checked, it's 15.
I think I said 15, but that's why I questioned you.
We'll move on.
But... Yeah, it's insane. Like, it is insane. I don't know what the solution is. Again, sometimes when you say these things are bad, people think you're giving out about them. It isn't always the case that somebody's done something wrong here, but I find it hard to think that what championship GA football or hurling means is, it's sort of centerpiece in a way, and it's something that has a bit of a build up and has a bit of a, we talked about it before, but when you throw 15 games on the same weekend, how does that
2 last weekend?
Yeah, absolutely. Now again, the reasons for that are they're simple enough logistics. If you're in the football, especially where you don't know who's going to be in the game the week after, you do have to leave a week in between. So what could they do? There was but at the same time, it just feels like the games lose their importance, I have to say. I think if you look at Galway, Roscommon this weekend, and you look at maybe some of the games in Ulster, and with the hurling starting and kind of going to take over a little bit because the top teams are all going to play each other, Clare and Tip, Limerick and Waterford on this weekend. Limerick and Waterford, isn't it? Yeah. And it's just, where's all the attention going to be? It is just too much, really, isn't it?
Yeah. Has the Champions League been less entertaining this year?
So far,
yep. Yes.
You only need a night, though, don't you? You only need one of these nights to sort of turn something up.
It does seem like in recent years every night was a night.
Yeah,
sustainable. It was.
I was going to say it was never going to last.
If there's any game that's going to do it tonight, though, it's Napoli and Milan. The atmosphere there in Naples is going to be stunning tonight, far and above anything that we'll see this week. And it's a brilliant Napoli side, which we covered last Thursday on the show. So fingers crossed that kind of has the upturn, because Chelsea and Real Madrid ain't going to be it.
I know, and yet I know I'm going to end up watching Chelsea Real Madrid if I'm keeping an eye on either, just to see shots of Todd Bowley and Frank and just the hilarity.
I'm pretty sure, I just looked at the team from Saturday and I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure 5 players that started against Brighton on Saturday are playing today. And it's completely different front three. And again, that's even with changes from last week. It's 4 changes, I think, from last week's team. So there's just no consistency at all. You're saying about the players
kind of saying against him. I think it's okay to just say, look, Premier League games are irrelevant.
It's not about, but what I'm saying is there's changes. There's no consistency from last week's team either.
From the Madrid
it's
team.
Just consistent.
Yeah. Okay.
It's just, no, I was saying there's a load of changes from the Brighton team, but it's obviously we're trying out different things, trying out different combinations. But from a player's point of view, it's is it any wonder we're an embarrassment? We're playing one game being dropped for 2. There's no chance for anybody to get any kind of a run of form or get any kind of a consistency or develop patterns. We were talking about Villa last night and the way that midfield are playing with each other. They're playing with each other every single week. There's never any changes.
Yeah.
Chelsea just could be anyone.
Yeah.
Any given week.
Yeah. Well, a squad of 32.
Yeah, exactly. But it's totally that's a millstone around their neck.
We are out of time. Richie, thank you very much.
Nice and gents.
Michael, back for a slight tangent after 8. Thank you.
Thanks.